Hello guys, welcome to the final video in August. Then right after that, it's a new era for me. I enter college. So I thought before everything ends, we'd talk about the best thing that happened in each of my school years. Though, the twist is we're not actually going to talk about things that happened in school because honestly, I don't really know much cool stuff happened in school that I consider. I mean, there were, but like, they weren't meaningful as the things that released when I was in school. So yeah, each year from 1st grade to 12th grade. Will this take a bit? I don't know. We'll see when we go along. And how much FNAF's gonna be in it? There's gonna be a bit, but there's other stuff. It's not just all FNAF if you want to know that. So let's start off with not FNAF because this was 2013 to 14. And FNAF came out in August. We're only counting things that came out from September to June. Nothing related to July or August. So starting off with the far future in Plants vs. Zombies 2. This was a big moment for me because Plants vs. Zombies 2 was always originally a game with just 3 worlds. That's it. Ancient Egypt, Pirate Cheese, and Wild West. But throughout the months, we were teased about a possible 4th world, which was known as the far future. At least I was teased about this for so long, and I didn't think it was real until out of nowhere in March, it became a real thing. It was a real world with 25 levels, just the same amount, and it was just a joy of joy. And who knew that would lead to other worlds coming out later on, like Dark Ages, Big White Beach, Frostbite Caves, Lost City, Neo Mixer 2, which we'll talk about soon. But yeah, pretty much it was all that and such. And you know, it gave us away some really new iconic plants now, like the Laser Bean, Citron, EM Peach, Infinite Magnifying Grass, Tile Turnip, and the return of Starfruit and Blover, which was pretty cool for me. So yeah, overall far future. Really nice world, I must say. It was not my favorite, but it was definitely a cool world when it first came out. Now let's get on to some FNAF stuff with 2014 to 15, which this was, I think, the first golden age of FNAF fan games. Throughout this time, lots of iconic fan games came out. The Return to Freddy's, Five Nights at Wario's, Five Nights at Sonic's, freaking Five Nights at Chum Buckets, Five Nights at, why is my brain farting? Fazbear Return, I guess. Five Nights at Thomas's, Five Nights at Squidward's, or no. Why is my brain farting? I think it's because, well, yeah, there were a lot of fan games that came out. The only ones I can really remember are Sonic's and Wario's. That's it. No, wait, Tommyland. Five Nights at Tommyland. Smudgers, I guess. And damn, is this really that hard? I thought this would be much easier. I guess not, but yeah. Yeah, oh, the 5 Golden Nights at Freddy's. There we go. I'm slowly remembering them as the Five Nights at F-Boys. Oh, this was just a golden age of just these fan games coming out, which, you know, are so iconic now and such. So, yeah, these are games I hold very dear to my heart. Now, let's move on to 2015 to 16, where we pretty much talk about a world in Plants vs. Zombies 2 that really changed me in ways, which is Neon Mixtape Tour. And now, this world is very important because it introduced me to the 1980s. FNAF may had some 80s theme, but they didn't really go as depth as Neon Mixtape Tour did. This was the 9th world in Plants vs. Zombies 2, and it was really different compared to some of the others because it was probably the one that was closest to the modern age, like very close to it, before we actually got the modern era as a world. But before that, we had the 1980s world, Neon Mixtape Tour, and this introduced me to a whole era that some of my family was actually born in, and some even experienced. And yeah, it was pretty much a time where music was just at its peak. Like, it's the only age of music, and this is where I got introduced to all that stuff with the punk zombie, the glitter, the MBC, the hair metals, the breakdancers, arcade, and all that such. And sure, the level design in Neon Mixtape Tour is pretty mid in my opinion. I'm not a fan of some of the levels because of how short they are. Though the expansion in Reflourish does fix some of that. Well, at least fixes the problems I had in the expansion levels. And the planets they're something, I guess. All 6 of them, or technically 9. I actually forgot to mention, Soybean Pod was also a plant in Far Future, but for We Flourish, and he was cool, I guess. But for Neo Mixator, you had Fat Beat, who was pretty much a plant that was pretty cool, though he had a long recharge, so I don't use it a lot. Celery Stalker is actually very useful in certain levels, so Time Warp is especially so useful. Having a plant to just reset everything to help you, I don't know, pre-plan is so cool. The garlic returning, that was cool, along with Cactus Tag returning as well in this. You had a freaking the Spore Shroom, a new mushroom. That was so insane during the time, because the only time we had mushrooms was in the Dark Ages, but then out of nowhere this had mushrooms. And then the intensive care, bringing plants back to life. And of course the ones in Refloris, like the Electric Blueberry, instant killing like a zombie no matter how strong they are, even though they have a long recharge and complete randomness, which kind of sucks. But the Gumnut though, this was also a legendary plant because of how, you know, block zombies for like a while. So yeah, it had some very interesting plants that don't exactly do well in Neo Mixator. They're actually more useful in other stuff. Except for the Gumnut. I think Gumnut's like the best plant for Neo Mixator. And honestly should have been a Mixator, which the Flourish is for us. And the boss fight was probably the best boss fight I've seen, even though it was really hard back in the day in 2015. It was hard. It took me a while to beat it. Both that and the Gargantuar boss fight were like incredibly hard. Of course now they're much easier then, and they even got harder versions in the expansion, which aren't as bad because it has to be fair. They can be hard, but they must be fair. Like, why would it not be fair? That'd just be a bad game design. But the Pacific Day 42 was definitely memorable because of the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack was the best part. All 6 or 5, there are 6 soundtracks are all beautiful, especially the ballad one with the boombox zombie. That is probably mine and probably everyone's favorite. It's just a music that's beyond a freaking mobile game. So yeah, Neo Mixator introduced me to the 80s, which is why it's in here in 3rd grade. I think we should really specify which one's which. Far Future's 1st grade, Golden Age Fan Games is 2nd grade, 3rd grade was Neo Mixator. Now 4th grade, 2016 to 17. Very easy. I was introduced to my favorite character, Funtime Freddy. Now we're gonna get the explanation why I like this character so much. I honestly, no idea. I think it's because of the voice. Kellen Goff did an amazing job voicing Funtime Freddy, giving this this crazy maniac jokester type of a personality. And not to mention, the design is actually pretty cool. It's pretty much a well, as Audio Success would call him, a polar bear of makeup. No joke, that's literally what he used to call him, a polar bear with makeup. Oh god. Yeah, but he pretty much is has like purple aesthetics everywhere. He has faceplates, of course. Well, actually, the unique thing about Funtime, he has 2 faceplates. I don't know why he has 2 faceplates, but he does. And the most unique part, he has a little hand puppet that's his own character named Bon, who is definitely another fan favorite of mine because he's just an adorable little bunny along with Bonnet and other stuff. And you could tell Funtime Freddy really changed FNAF because of how Kellen Goff is now like forever in the FNAF universe. I mean, he voices Molten Freddy in the freaking FNAF 6, which was a definitely big surprise for me, and was very happy to see him return. He only had like Laughter Dell like in UCN. I'm still upset Funtime Freddy's not in UCN. Still upset with that. But he did get a massive return in Help Wanted, though they they didn't do the correct jump scare for either that or Help Wanted 2. And Kellen Goff will turn again to voice act Glamour Freddy, Sun, Moon, and I think a few others I don't know in that game. Then Help Wanted 2, where actually before that, the movie where he voices Foxy there, and I think Foxy again in Secure the Mimic. He probably voices Foxy, I'm not entirely sure. But then in the Help Wanted 2, he does not voice Foxy there, but I think he voices again Glamour Freddy, Funtime Freddy, others. In fact, Help Wanted 2 is where Funtime Freddy really stands because first of all, he's the main character. He's in the menu and the icon and everything, and main poster. And he probably has the scariest section in the room, along with Yendo. And of course, KaiuDex is back again, where he voice acts. I'm pretty sure he voice acts as Arnold, but I don't know what animatronic he voice acts as. It's not Jackie. It's not Big Top. That's Andy Field. It's not Dolly. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was one of the pirate minions or something. I'm not entirely sure who he voice acted, but yeah, that's that. That is Funtime Freddy and why he's my favorite character of the FNAF franchise. Now let's move on to 5th grade, 2017 to 18, which I think was actually another period of the golden age, like a second edition, because there were just, again, a lot of iconic fan games here, at least to me. Or more importantly, we should probably call this like the photo negative Mickey era or Mallrat era, because this is definitely where he peaked in fan games with some of the Mac Tonight games, even though some came like before, like earlier 2017, but there were some iconic ones that came out here as well, like Mac Tonight Remastered, Lost Ones Remastered, Mac Tonight 3 and stuff. Also Jolly here peaked with Jolly 1 and Jolly 2 Chapter 2 and such. And oh wait, De Minimis is, oh no, we're not counting De Minimis. No, I mean, no, we shouldn't talk about De Minimis. I don't know why I mentioned that. Was Day Shift for Freddy's? No, maybe, no, I don't know. Day Shift for was 2016, right. But yeah, this was something. Yeah, pretty much multiple iconic fan games were made here during this time, and why I consider that, honestly. But now let's move on to the middle school era with 6th grade. Yeah, a lot of stuff happened here. We pretty much entered peak year 2019, still my favorite year of all time, where a lot of stuff happened. Pretty much, it was like multitude of endings. And I think the best one, we can all agree, is Avengers Endgame. Like, come on, how was I not gonna talk about this? Avengers Endgame is still to this day the absolute best of still like the craziest movies of them all. I mean, just having, it's 3 hours long. You have pretty much every single character, and they're all just having an ongoing war. I don't know, it was just something. And then, of course, the end with Tony Stark died. I don't know why, but I feel like Tony Stark has actually affected me throughout the years. I mean, I remember how much it affected me when I first saw it. I was just an 11-year-old boy, and every time I just looked at Iron Man posters, kind of like Spider-Man. Thank God Spider-Man Far From Home came out 2 months after, just so that I could cope with Iron Man dying. That's literally what Far From Home is. It's literally a film you need to watch after Endgame so you can just cope with Iron Man dying. Yeah. And that's probably why I have Far From Home so high up in my list, unlike others. But yeah, that's Far From Home, or Endgame, I should say. Really have nothing else to say because we probably was already said much about it. And I will say more about it with another future video I'm making, like in December or something. But yeah, now let's talk about 2019 to 20. Now, I'm actually not gonna talk about Piggy because I didn't discover Piggy till like July of 2020, so we ain't gonna talk about that. But we will talk about another thing that came out, and actually, not think about it. This is all wrong. Actually, no. No, originally I had something like about Treasure Island, but that came out late 2020, so that was probably not for me to say. But really, the most iconic thing that came out was the Sonic movie. That's really all I can think of. I know I probably would have said Rise of Skywalker, but I don't really like it as much as I used to. But the Sonic movie, because it led to like so many new things. It was like it pretty much showed that game movies can work. Video game movies can work, and this was it. Remember, what about the Angry Birds movies? I mean, they're okay, but they're like anime. This was like the first live action one I've seen. Of course the Angry Birds movies would work because they're anime, but this was a real test because it was live action. And it just worked. It was just something so different to me. And it was the last movie I watched before everything changed with COVID. In fact, it was actually almost everyone's last movie they watched before COVID. So, yeah, the Sonic movie. And it led to, like, iconic other movies like Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and eventually Sonic 4 in 2 years. And the Knuckles show. But, oh no, like, yeah, this thing started a whole new era of movies. And led to, of course, the FNAF movie. But let's talk about 8th grade, 2020 to 2021. Now we could talk about Piggy, but more specifically, Piggy Book 2. Yes, because this, it's just something that cannot be unmatched. Like the hype train, waiting for each Piggy chapter, one by one by one, was just so good. At least I think 9 chapters came out while I was in 8th grade, but they were just something to remember. I mean, the hype train for me, waiting every month, 2 weeks to pretty much every month for like a new chapter, was just, it was amazing. Arguably the longest wait for me, at least, was actually chapter 4, because of how there was literally nothing in November except for, I guess, the RB battles and Neighbor Donut, where like they didn't have any skins, because that was when I was so addicted to skins. I'm still addicted to skins in Piggy. It's honestly why I keep playing Piggy, just for new skins. If there weren't any new skins coming up, you probably would not see any Piggy videos. But the fact that Piggy skins still happening, yeah, there's still videos happening. But pretty much, well, yeah, it was just something to, like, it's something that cannot be unmatched, the hype train. Which is why I wish in the future we get something similar to this. Like, I don't know, Piggy Book 3. Branch Realities tried, but, like, they're, like, taking too long for each chapter to come out, where I just, especially chapter 6, like, where the hell is chapter 6 at? Hopefully it's soon, but yeah, anyways, Piggy Book 2, hoping Piggy Book 3, the Fanging, can bring the same hype train as this. Now we're entering the final era, the high school era, from freshman to senior year. Starting with freshman year, we had, of course, the ultimate movie, the one that really changed me, Spider-Man No Way Home. This, I'm not gonna say that much, but I'm gonna talk about how perfect it released. Because honestly, to me, each Spider-Man film back then released perfectly to, I don't know, just to me, I guess. Because you probably don't know this, but Tom Holland's my favorite Spider-Man. Because, well, it was the one I pretty much semi-what grew up with. I was born 3 days after Spider-Man 3 came out, and I was just an infant when the Amazing movies were coming out. I was probably too young to watch it. I probably still watched them. I definitely did watch them back then, but I was just too young to remember any of them. Of course, I rewatched them again before watching No Way Home, because, come on, you had to. But No Way Home, but the Tom Holland ones came out when the first one came out. Let me just do this again, because I'm messing this up. I remember just back in Civil War, in my birthday, when I first saw Spider-Man for the first time after so long in the MCU, in his bright, colorful Stark Tech suit in 2016. Then a year later, his film came out, and I watched that. At least I think I did. My mom said I did watch it in the theaters back in 2017, but I don't remember, which is why I had to rewatch it again just in case. But yeah, I watched it there, and you know, it was fun. And then, of course, 2019 we have Far From Home, which released there coincidentally, which is good because it was a film to pretty much deal with Iron Man's death, which is why I'm glad it came out 2 years after. Then you had a surprising plot twist where Spider-Man's identity is revealed by the end of the film, which leads to No Way Home, where, oh man, they really took that story and made it into real big. I mean, like, the way they went with this story. First having Doctor Strange make a spell, a weird drastic spell, which makes everyone forget that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, which shifts it into the multiverse. That's probably the best part about it. It's like, well, no, it's not, but it's definitely one of the highlights. Is how it's the first MCU movie that has the main characters dealing with the multiverse. Well, technically Far From Home did, but like that was like a fake. But then ended up being real, which was really good. And then you had like these villains from the old films coming on attacking Spider-Man. And then later on you had Toby and Andrew return. But the best part about it, this movie, is that while they're there and they do great, they don't sideline Tom Holland at all. In fact, Tom Holland is still the highlight of this whole movie. And that's what I love about it. Yes, it has all the characters, but it's still focused on Tom Holland, where he pretty much loses everyone he cares about and pretty much becomes the Spider-Man everyone knows well, everyone knows and loves, like the real Spider-Man, because this whole Home trilogy was just like an origin story to set Spider-Man up to become pretty much Spider-Man, even though I still to this day love the hybrid suit. I mean, I have a full-on sweater of it. You've seen it like multiple times. That is still my favorite suit of all time for Spider-Man. But I will admit, the brand new Today suit is a close second place. So yeah, No Way Home, and even Quincy released like during the beginnings of high school. So like, yeah, it was like high. This was like a new era for like everyone in this one. But now sophomore year, which I didn't really like because it was 2023, you know, such. But there was one positive thing that happened here. Ignoring the MCU completely, now shifting all the way to FNAF, because FNAF was doing great here. Specifically, the FNAF film shooting. I remember being so excited when I saw that day one footage of Doug and the camera just saying action. That got me so hyped because the FNAF movie was finally filming. And it was like only like a 2-month progress, which is something I never thought I would see. Because I'm pretty sure this is the first time I ever saw that only took 2 months to shoot. Which is crazy. And then, right after I went out to watch the Mario movie, that made me feel a bit better. Because I think I was having a terrible day that day because of something that happened, which I do not want to talk about. But I watched the Mario movie to make me feel better. And then right after that, I got the freaking reveal. Five Nights at Freddy's. In theaters, October 27th, 2023. The amount of joy I had knowing that I was gonna watch the FNAF movie this year was just beyond anything. And of course, we watched it and it was amazing. But that wasn't the best thing that even happened that year. Shifting forward to junior year, in December 2023, we had Help Wanted 2, which is going to be my favorite video game of all time. And I will tell you again, because I've already hyped myself, already told you how much I love this game, so I'll just summarize it again. It's in VR. Five Freddy is the main character again, and it takes VR to ways I never thought were possible. That's why I loved it so much. I mean, it's pretty much like a mini game of like fun activity stuff. I mean, is there horror? Yes, of course there's horror. There's lore, there's best lore, there's music, there's peak music. Scorched Cranberries special. Still one of the best songs ever made for FNAF. But you got bowling, cooking, repairman, makeup tour. You got everything matching. That's why I love it so much. It's a mix of everything. And it's for everyone to play because everyone can like this game for certain sections. That's why it's, I consider, the best game of all time. It's a game of pretty much everything, but takes in the FNAF spin. Which is why I love it so much. And of course, senior year, which honestly, we have to talk about the ending of where it all ended, because during June 2025, because that was probably one of the best months of my life, because if I were to talk about June, at least the first half, because the second half wasn't exactly as great, but it was still something. So at first, you know, in the beginning, I need a calendar. I'm gonna be looking at the calendar while I'm doing this, even though you won't see it. You know, it was pretty simple, nothing to point having. You might saw me making those YouTube shorts of all the plushies, you know, doing all that stuff. But then, something crazy happened. I think it was like, Tuesday, on June 10th, I went to Hershey Park. And it was just something beyond. Would have been a lot better if I had someone to talk to there. But, you know, I still had a fun time there. You know, I still had fun. And then, 2 days later, in June 12th, I had prom, and yeah, that was probably one of the best moments of my life. And then, you know what's a coincidence? After all that, not only was prom like there, but it was also like the last day where I actually had work to do at school, which pretty much meant I 100% completed school once and for all after that. Like, I was just straight up done. And then, after that, you know, the day after, prom, y'all know what happened. I got Secret of the Mimic, and it just felt like, to me, it just felt like the perfect reward for after completing school after so long. You get the new era of FNAF, which this was what Secret of the Mimic pretty much is. A new era of FNAF, showing a new side of FNAF that we never seen before, with Edwin's costume out, with new characters of Edwin, Fiona, David, new animatronics like Jackie, the freaking the Big Top, Nurse Dolly, seeing the origins of Chica and Foxy, Monty, Roxy, and such. along with the Mako melodies, seeing them all here, and of course, seeing the FNAF 1 origin. That was just amazing. Calling back to FNAF 1 with that FNAF 1 map and making it like a reverse of FNAF 1 where you're the animatronic was unbelievable to me. Though I never noticed it, of course, because I'm too stupid to certain cool things. I was just too excited to get in the office, I guess, without even knowing what I was doing. But yeah, honestly, of course, with the peak soundtrack, of course, and I'm so excited for y'all to see my Secret of the Mirror roleplay in Night of Misfits. That's gonna be spectacular. But yeah, that is it. That is it for all the school stuff. I hope you enjoyed me talk about some things I loved during this year, and I can't wait to see what college in store. Or do I? Am I excited? Am I really excited? I don't know, but we will wait and see. So if you like this video, give it a like, and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.